Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on local government of Victoria and in particular Moorabool Shire Council and what we're doing in the planning place and in the technology space at this moment in time. Just to give you some background about myself, I grew up in Ireland and moved to Australia in early 2000. I worked in local government since 2001 and joined the Moorabool Shire Council as the CEO in 2018. Prior to that, I had a number of roles in local government, ranging from CFO to General Manager for Corporate Services, which is all of the internal services of Council. My work experience is in the UK and Australia, and prior to joining local government in 2001, I'd worked with a number of large corporates, in particular in the IT sector, such as Lotus 123 for those people who remember that particular product, but also with Lucent Technologies, and then moved eventually into funds management in the UK in the late 90s prior to emigrating to Australia. I've worked in local government now for nearly 20 years, and it is something that I'm very passionate about, and I really believe that we can deliver really efficient services and make a difference to people's lives, and that's my goal within local government. I am a qualified accountant, and I do tend to look at the numbers quite closely when I'm doing my job on a day-to-day basis. To give you a little bit of a background on Moorabool Shire Council, we are located roughly around 40k outside of the Melbourne CBD. We are what's referred to as a peri-urban council, and our population, while not larger at around 36,000, is expected to triple over the next 25 years. And in addition to that, geographically, we are a very large council. Interestingly, the impact of COVID, what that has meant for us as a shire is our population projections and the speed of that population growth has actually increased significantly, in that our latest projections that we've just received in the last fortnight show that the actual population is growing at about 15% above where we thought it was going to grow. Now, that has a significant impact on our planning across the organisation. And part of the reason for this shift is that we've got a very good train service into the city, very good rail and bus network, but also we're very close to the regional cities of Ballarat and Geelong and two airports. So people are beginning to identify Moorabool Shire as a lifestyle destination. But one of our key challenges as a shire is that approximately 63% of the population leaves the shire every day for work, which actually leads to a further issue on that one is that around 50% of the spend that could be held within the shire is actually leaving every single day. And so people are doing their shopping outside the shire, attending sporting activities outside the shire. So we're in a space now where we're trying to develop the shire to try and retain and grow as much of that spend within the shire boundaries as we possibly can. To give you an idea of the scale of the shire, we all know Australia is very big, but when you actually look at our network, road network and drainage and everything else, to give you an indication, Wyndham Council, which is one of our neighbouring councils, is the fastest growing council in Australia. Melton would be in the top 5 to top 6, and then we also have 2 regional cities. So Moorabool Shire Council geographically is 5 times the size of the fastest growing shire in Australia, which is Wyndham. So to give you an indication as to what that means for council, it means we have a very large asset infrastructure base to maintain. So if you look at our sealed roads, that the length of that is nearly the equivalent to Land's End to John O'Groats, and even our Kerben Channel is the length of that would stretch from Sheffield to London. So from our point of view as a council, it places additional challenges because we have a relatively small rate base, but we have a very large network and a distributed service to deliver to smaller townships throughout the shire. As I mentioned, I started in council in 2018 and really set about restructuring the organisation and placed a very different lens on how the organisation functions. I placed the community and council and our small towns at the centre of the organisation, shift in the organisation to a much more people-centric approach. Previously, we were very focused on just delivering projects, and there's an old saying here in Australia that council's jobs are roads, rates and rubbish and nothing else, and I think it's safe to say that historically that's the lens through which Moorabool Shire Council really undertook the local government, and to the extent that it had not built a new community facility in the previous 5 years. But we are now planning on delivering a new facility, well, 2 new facilities every year for the next 5 years. So we are in this growth phase, and that does present challenges as a growing council on the outskirts of Melbourne. To give you some context to local government in Victoria, probably the main difference to the UK system is that Australia has an additional layer of government, and we all know how efficient layers of government can be. So we do have a layer of state government sitting between our federal government, which is our national government, and local government. And probably from a local government point of view, one of the key challenges this places upon local government is as a level of government that's not officially recognised in the Constitution, it really is an arm of state government. To the extent that we do have a number of councils in Victoria that have been dismissed over the last number of years, where we have no elected representatives in those councils. They're actually being run by administrators associated with the state government. In addition, there was in the early 90s over 210 councils in Victoria. That number was consolidated to the current number of 79 in the early 90s, and really that was through a forced amalgamation process driven through state government. Our key areas of interest as a council in this day and age, moving aside from the roads, rates and rubbish, is we're very prominent to health, planning and building services, and just your general services that councils are involved in, such as waste and delivering community infrastructure, etc. Our revenue base is predominantly based around rates, and again, the state government have put caps on the amount of increases that local government can pass on to the ratepayers of the Shire. So currently we do 2% cap, but a rate notice consists of a number of parts in Australia. So waste charges are done on a no cost to council service. So council are not allowed to make money, but it's a full cost recovery service. And also council acts as a collecting agency for the fire services levy for state government, which is used to fund the fire brigade service here in Australia. So the general rate valued from a council point of view to deliver the additional services beyond waste, and that is based on the valuation of a property, and that valuation is carried out by the Valuer General of Victoria on an annual basis. On average, rates account for a much higher percentage of regional councils' revenue base as opposed to metro councils, and that's mainly got to do with the parking revenue and parking fines that can be gathered in a metro area that really the rural shires and regional councils do not have that ability. To give you an indication, in a regional council, rates can be as high as 75% of the total revenue received by council. So it really is a key component of how those services are delivered into the community. So the rate base is really the key item. With the Local Government Act, which is one of our primary legislative functions, is we do have a new Local Government Act that was introduced in 2020. Many other changes were introduced as part of that, but I do want to just really focus on the planning framework. And the key difference for councils now is the requirement to create a community vision. And while a lot of councils have already done this, it was not a statutory requirement. As part of the Act, councils now need to fully integrate the strategic planning and reporting process and adopt a long-term approach comprising of a 10-year financial plan, a 4-year service plan, capital works plan, and even workforce planning down to that level. The goal here is so that the communities are better informed on the strategic direction and spending priorities of council into the future. I think it's safe to say that previously the legislation was less prescriptive, and that has now changed. And all of this reporting is required to be audited at a state level, and the Victorian Auditor General will be doing that going forward. What I would like to focus on here is, from the purpose of this presentation, is the systems that we've put in place to streamline this reporting. But also, I have highlighted the LGPRF box on that particular graph, and that really stands for the Local Government Performance Framework, which was adopted in Victoria a few years ago. And what that actually does is basically allow a comparison to be consistently applied across all of the councils in Victoria. And while it was not supposed to be set up as a comparison tool, if you actually go straight to the home page, which is the link I've provided there, one of the key tiles the first tile that you actually see is to compare the performance of 4 similar councils. So the concession they have made is they have grouped councils together, because we do have a range of councils in Victoria, ranging from councils that generate revenue of $760 million plus to other councils that have $11 million of a rate base. So it's very different. So they have grouped the councils to allow a more equitable comparison to be made. So I have provided that link there for those people who are interested in accessing that information. The indicators and goals. The stated reason for those was to improve the transparency and accountability of council's performance to the ratepayers. Overall, the framework consists of 58 measures and a governance and management checklist of roughly around 24 items, which is a total of 82 data points that need to be collected, audited, and reported on annually by every council in Victoria. Makes no difference whether you're a council of $700 million or a council of $11 million. The reporting mechanism is still the same. And that's one of the challenges the smaller councils have faced, is how do we deliver this level of reporting with the resources that we currently have. The reality is we could spend all of our time on this if we don't design our systems and processes with this key output front and center. This is really what the comparison looks like. This is Moorabool Shire, again, comparing ourselves against 3 different councils that are really in the same cohort, that would be the same size and the same levels of growth. It does have the option for a council says link, and that allows the council to respond to why there might be changes in year-on-year movement. So as you can see, this example was from Maternal and Child Health Services. We're a growth council. So one of our responses was, as part of our enterprise bargaining agreement, we had to increase the number of nurses to actually deal with the service provision. So it does give the councils the ability to explain why the numbers are moving the way they are. So in that sense, it is a very informative tool for the public. I suppose from our point of view is we need to deliver new IT systems so that we're not constantly having to report on all of these items in a manual way. So as a council, we set out in early last year to deliver a new IT project. And to date, we're about 25% of the way through the solution with an anticipated completion date of December of next year. To give you an idea of some of the projects we've gone live with, we've built a new intranet solution. This council really didn't have an intranet before I arrived in 2018. We're currently building a new website. We've gone live with AvePoint, which is a SharePoint document management solution. And one of the challenges was actually meeting all of the legislative requirements around document management. So we have succeeded in doing that, and we'll be one of the first councils in Australia to roll out the AvePoint SharePoint solution for a full document management solution across council. Our management systems, we're working with state government on how that information can flow fairly seamlessly back to them. And we're due to go live before Christmas with a new CRM, our customer relationship system. And we've partnered with a New Zealand company called Datascape to deliver a new ERP system into the sector, because we felt the current providers that we use just weren't delivering the customer-centric approach that we wanted to deliver on our systems. And in addition, to have that open source so that we could potentially reduce the reporting burden on the public and on the staff going forward. So we do anticipate we would be finished late next year with our compliance, rating, building, etc., all to follow in that period. Give you an idea of what our landscape looks like, CAMS and Power BI are really the two platforms that are bringing all of these pieces of the jigsaw together. The Datascape is an enterprise product, and what we're really looking to do there is to try and minimize the number of systems we cross the landscape that we have. So we're really looking at a very, very simple IT structure, and we do have still some legacy systems in there, but they will actually be retired over the next 12 months. And so we will have a very clean and simple IT infrastructure with practically every bit of it as software as a service and located off site. So we will not be maintaining the security and everything else associated with the systems. And that's a big relief to council, because with the world as it is and the hacking, it's we're getting potentially people trying to hack us every hour. It's that frequent now at this stage, because we have a .gov email address. Foreign hackers seem to be attracted to that email address, so we're very well aware of what's happening in that space. One of our key items is the CAMS product, and so the CAMS product is really the link from the individual work plans to the strategies to the overarching council plan and vision. We put all of that information into CAMS to avoid duplication. And really, we don't want data kept in multiple systems. We wanted it kept in one system so that we could do our internal and external reporting all from the one system. So we have systems there ranging from our audit committee action items to different strategies, be it our health and well-being strategy, be it our council plan, and even our individual work plans down to employees, and the business improvements we want to happen is all contained within the CAMS system. And we have a reporting schedule where the staff actually go in on a monthly basis and update. We try and encourage them to do it on a weekly basis, but it's reported on monthly, and that's the key item, and that's the key dates. And then we push that information back out to the staff and on a monthly basis, and also as part of their performance reviews. Some of the historic issues we have found is really with a lot of these systems, due to the potential infrequent use, say they're only used monthly, is that people tended to avoid them because they forgot basically how to use them. So our response has been to roll out a training layer that basically sits above our key system. And what that does is effectively walks the user through what they want to do at any point in the process. It can be switched on or off as desired. And what we've found is this is very, very beneficial. And to the extent that we're now looking to roll it out across our external website for the public to help walk them through different transactions to try and make the interaction with council a little bit more seamless. So this is basically another layer on top of the software, and it's a digital adoption software, but it does decrease the reliance on council staff to deliver that training, but also to deal with queries as they arise when the software can actually do it for itself. So that has been a significant investment, and we do have a team that's really creating that software to sit on top of all of our digital platforms at the moment. What I have here is how we're using Power BI. So this is a sample dashboard, and this is available via our intranet. So this is available to all staff, but really what it does is it allows managers to see in real time with the drill through functionality what is happening and how they can better monitor the performance of the organization in real time. And this is where the technology layers are really beneficial, and this is where we're beginning to blend the different systems that we have between CAMS and Power BI and allowing them to complement each other very well. So with the CAMS solution, what we have done in addition to that is we have put it out into the public realm, and we're using the product CAMS Engage to deliver the local performance indicator framework out into the public realm. So currently that's only reported annually at a state level, but what we've decided to do as a council is that we would actually report that on a monthly basis to the public. So we've created with the CAMS Engage software a public portal where they can come in and they can actually take a look at those indicators well in advance of them being published by the state government. And we really see that as a big benefit across in building relationships with the community as this new framework begins to roll out into the future. So one of the key goals for us when we looked at this was how do we decrease the reporting burden so that it just happens and people can get on and really deliver the services required without having to focus on what we used to call casual clothes Friday, which was the one Friday a month where people could wear casual clothes, that people began to associate it with updating all of the corporate reporting tools. So our goal is to really make that part of a pretty seamless approach where you just key in the information once in one destination, in one location, and that information then disseminates out into the relevant systems and feeds all the way right the way up to the council plan, and will form part of our reporting mechanism back at the end of the year, and also will cover off on any statutory reporting with the Local Government Act, etc. So it is an integrated approach, and we are working as to how we can actually achieve this going into the future. And I hope this has given you a quick guideline. And what I have is I've included my LinkedIn profile. If anybody would like to privately message me, feel free. And thank you again for your time. And I hope you found this session very informative. Thank you.